Hey humans, welcome to Read to Me, Matt Dunn. I'm Matt Dunn, and I'm going to read to you. And I'm going to read to you. And more. Well, today, Frankenstein. Chapter 21. Wow, we are almost done with the book. We have 4 more chapters. 21, 22, 23, and 24. So be prepared. They are exciting, I'm sure. They have to be, right? So, Chapter 21, Part 1. By Mary Shelley. We had resolved not to go to London, but to cross the country to Portsmouth, and thence embark for Havre. I preferred this plan principally because I dreaded again to see those places in which I had enjoyed a few moments of tranquillity with my beloved Clerval. I thought with horror of seeing again those persons whom we had been accustomed to visit together. I thought, of seeing again those persons. Persons, not places. Persons, not places. And who might make inquiries concerning an event, the very remembrance of which made me again feel the pang I endured when I gazed on his lifeless form in the inn at. As for my father, his desire and exertions were bound to the. Excuse me. I just had lunch and I'm so gassy. I gassy. Like agave. As for my father. What about your father? As for him, his desires and exertions were bound to the again seeing me. His desires, I'm getting a little confused at the structure of this sentence. His desires and exertions were bounded to the again. Fuck it. Fuck this shit. His fucking desires and exertions were bounded to the again seeing me restored to health and peace of mind. To the again what? What does it even fucking mean? Let's continue. His tenderness and attentions were unremitting. My grief and gloom were abstinent, but he would not despair. Were obstinate. His grief and gloom were obstinate. So, I guess whatever. My grief, whatever. Sometimes he thought that I felt deeply the degradation of being obliged to answer a charge of murder, and he endeavored to prove to me the futility of pride. Alas, my father, said I, how little do you know me? Human beings, their feelings and passions, would indeed be degraded if such a wretch as I felt pride. Justine, poor unhappy Justine, was as innocent as I, and she suffered the same charge. She died for it, and I am the cause of this. I murdered her. William, Justine, and Henry, they all died by my hands. My fucking hands. My father had often, during my imprisonment, heard me make the same assertion. When I thus accused myself, he sometimes seemed to desire an explanation, and, at others, he appeared to consider it as caused by delirium, and that, during my illness, some idea of this kind had presented itself to my imagination. the remembrance of which I preserved in my convalescence. I avoided explanation and maintained a continual silence concerning the wretch I had created. I had a feeling that I should be supposed mad, and this forever chained my tongue, when I would have given the whole world to have confided the fatal secret. Upon this occasion, my father said with an expression of unbounded wonder, "What do you mean, Victor? Are you mad? My dear son, I entreat you never to make such an assertion." "I am not mad," I cried energetically. "The sun and the heavens, who have viewed my operations, can bear witness of my truth. I am the assassin of those most innocent victims. They died by my machinations. 1,000 times would I have shed my own blood, drop by drop, to have saved their lives, but I could not, my father. Indeed, I could not sacrifice the whole human race." Then this dad's probably like, "What are you talking about sacrificing human races for? Chill out, dude." The conclusion of this speech convinced my father that my ideas were deranged, and he instantly changed the subject of our conversation and endeavored to alter the course of my thoughts. He wished as much as possible to obliterate the memory of the scenes that had taken place in Ireland, and never eluded them, or suffer me to speak of my misfortunes. He just didn't want to hear it anymore. He's like, "Blah fucking blah, you're crazy, I can't fix it. Let's talk about cake and pie and stuff. You like that, right? You like desserts? Let's just keep eating desserts." As time passed away, I became more calm. My misery had her dwelling... As time passed away, I became more calm. My misery had her dwelling in my heart. Who the fuck is her? My misery had her dwelling in my heart, but I no longer talked in the same incoherent manner of my own crimes. Sufficient for me was the consciousness of them. By the utmost self-violence, I curbed the imperious voices of wretchedness, which sometimes desired to declare itself to the whole world, and my manners were calmer and more composed than they had ever been since my journey to the Sea of Ice. We arranged at Havre on the 8th of May and instantly proceeded to Paris, where my father had some business, which detained us for a few weeks. In this city I received the following letter from Elizabeth. Let's see if we can do Elizabeth's voice. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna do an Elizabeth voice. To Victor Frankenstein. Like that? It's seducting. It's my seduction voice. My dearest friend. It gives me the greatest pleasure to receive a letter from my uncle dated at Paris. You are no longer at a formidable distance. You're getting closer, and I may hope to see you in less than a fortnight. Ooh. My poor cousin. Oh, how much you must have suffered. I expect to see you looking even more ill than when you quitted Geneva. Oh. This winter has been passed most miserably, tortured as I have been by anxious suspense, yet I hope to see peace in your countenance, and to find that your heart is not totally devoid of comfort and, how do I say, tranquility.
Yet I fear the same feelings now exist that made you so miserable a year ago, even perhaps augmented by time. I would not disturb you at this period, when so many misfortunes weigh upon you. But a conversation that I had with my uncle previous to his departure renders some explanation necessary before we meet.
What the fuck? What explanation?
Explanations! You may possibly say.
Wait. Who's reading this? I'm reading this. Okay. It seems like this is Frankenstein going back. Okay, whatever.
Explain. You may possibly say. What can Elizabeth have to explain? If you really say this, my questions are answered, and I have no more to do than to sign myself your affectionate cousin.
Ah, got it. So she's like,
explanation. You may possibly say, what can Elizabeth have to explain? If you really say this, my questions are answered. And I have no more than to do than to sign myself your affectionate cousin. But you are distant from me, and it is possible that you may dread and yet be pleased with this explanation. And, in a probability of this being the case, I dare not any longer postpone writing that. Writing what? During your absence, I have often wished to express to you, but have never had the courage to begin. You well know, Victor, that our union had been the favorite plan of your parents ever since our infancy.
I think she's gonna break up with him. I hope she breaks up with him. Dude.
We were told this when young and taught to look forward to it as an event that would certainly take place. We were affectionate playfellows during childhood, and I believe dear and valued friends to one another as we grew older. But as brother and sister often entertain a lively affection toward each other without desiring a more intimate union, may not such also be our case? Tell me, dearest Victor, answer me, I conjure you, by our mutual happiness, with simple truth. Do you not love another?
Elizabeth is afraid that Victor is found somebody else.
I get it.
So she's like, I know we're cousins and we're pretty close to being brother and sister. And then he's like, what is she getting at? Oh, she's always writing me. Like, oh my god, it's been 3 months. Give me a fucking break. He's a bad man.
You have traveled. You have spent several years of your life in Ingolstadt, and I confess to you, my friend, that when I saw you last autumn so unhappy, flying to solitude from the society of every creature, I could not help supposing that you might regret our connection, and believe yourself bound in honor to fulfill the wishes of your parents, although they oppose themselves to your inclinations. But this is false reasoning. I confess to you, my cousin, that I love you. And that in my airy dreams of futurity, you have been my constant friend and companion. But it is your happiness I desire as well as my own. When I declare to you that our marriage would render me eternally miserable unless it were the dictate of your own free choice. Even now I weep to think that, borne down as you are by the cruelest misfortune, you may strive the word honor, all hope of that love and happiness which would alone restore you to yourself. I, who have so interested an affection for you, may increase your miseries tenfold by being an obstacle to your wishes. Ah, Victor, be assured that your cousin and playmate has too sincere a love for you not to be made miserable by this supposition. Be happy, my friend, and, if you obey me in this one request, remain satisfied that nothing on earth will have power to interrupt my tranquility. Do not let this letter disturb you. Do not answer it tomorrow, or the next day, or even until you come, if it will give you pain. My uncle will send me news of your health, and if I see but one smile on your lips when we meet, occasioned by this or any other exertion of mine, I shall need no other happiness.
Elizabeth Lavenza. Geneva? Okay, I guess this. We're in Geneva. Oh. Elizabeth Lavenza. Geneva, May 18th, 17. That was a good letter. She's like, stop playing games with my heart, playing games with my heart. I don't know if I can take this because I just might die. Sitting here all alone, all I got left to do is write you sad letters. What is her life but to wait around for this fucking asshole to get his shit together? What is she doing with herself? Farming? Because she clearly loves to farm. Remember back in the day, she loves farming. This letter revived in my memory what I had before forgotten. The threat of the threat of the fiend. I will be with you on your wedding night. Such was my sentence. And on that night, would the demon employ every art to destroy me and tear me from the glimpse of happiness which promised partly to console my sufferings? On that night, he had determined to consummate his crimes by my death. Well, be it so. A deadly struggle would then assuredly take place, in which, if he was victorious, I should be at peace, and his power over me be at an end. If he were vanquished, I should be a free man. Alas, what freedom! Such as the peasant enjoys when his family have been massacred before his eyes, his cottage burnt, his lands laid waste, and he is turned adrift, homeless, penniless, and alone, but free. But free. Such would be my liberty, except that in my Elizabeth I possessed a treasure. Alas! Alas! Balanced by those horrors of remorse and guilt which would pursue me until death. Sweet and beloved Elizabeth, I read and reread her letter, and some softened feelings stole into my heart and dared to whisper paradisiacal dreams of love and joy. But the apple was already eaten, and the angel's arm bared to drive me from all hope. Yet I would die to make her happy. If the monster executed his threat, death was inevitable. Yet again, I considered whether my marriage would hasten my fate. My destruction might indeed arrive a few months sooner, but if my torturer should suspect that I postponed it, influenced by his menaces, he would surely find other and perhaps more dreadful means of revenge. He had vowed to be with me on my wedding night, yet he did not consider that threat as binding him to peace in the meantime. For, as if to show me that he was not yet satiated with blood, he had murdered Clerval immediately after the enunciation of his threats. I resolved, therefore, that if my immediate union with my cousin would conduce either to her or my father's happiness, my adversary's design against my life should not retard it a single hour. So, he is clearly thinking about getting hitched just to get this over with. That's a good idea, man. But that's not... I don't think that's the plan. I don't think that's... Anyway, if you wish for me to keep reading, please check out some more of my videos. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, write some comments down below, and I'll keep this up. I'll keep it up. Keep it up like these arms. Oh, stretching. Oh, yeah, baby. Jeepers creepers, this is so good. Yeah. That was a good stretch. Now, I'll see you tomorrow. And in the meantime, keep it real.